The Los Angeles Clippers are playing the worst stretch of basketball since acquiring James Harden. Obviously, in the weeks following acquiring James, they were rattling off victory after victory. They were something like 24 and I think it was 6 in 30 games. And they were amazing. And now in their last 18 games, they were 8 and 10. In their last 10 games, now they're 5 and 5. They are one game and one loss away from giving the Pelicans the 4 seed and falling down to the 5th seed in the Western Conference. Today's video, we're going to discuss the Clippers and their polarizing act they've been putting on. I will mention before we get into this video, they do have the easiest stretch of the season coming up. If you counted today, and honestly, it's a couple days ago against the Hawks, it should have been some gimme wins. They played the Hawks, then they played the Blazers on back-to-backs, and they beat both of them. Then today they versed the Sixers and lost by double digits. They should have beat them. Then they versed the Pacers, the Clippers, the Magic, the Hornets, the Kings. Some decently easy wins. Then to finish out the season, you have the Jazz twice, the Suns twice, and the Rockets. You know, it's going to be an interesting schedule going forward. I just wanted to talk about that before we get into this video. But in this video, we're just going to be discussing if you're a Clippers fan, should you panic? Should you worry? Are they still contenders? Are they a lost cause? We're going to get into all that in today's video, guys. Before we do, I just want to say thanks so much for the support on the channel recently. We are uploading every single day for the month of March. So if you're new here and want to help us on the road to 3,000 subscribers, please be sure to consider hitting that sub button. Without further ado, let's just jump straight into this thing, guys. The biggest thing for me off the rip is Paul George. It's very, very clear that he's not washed. I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but it's very, very clear that Paul George, his decline starts now. It's remarkable that he has, become such an NBA player through trials and tribulations. Some would say with the whole leg injury, saying goodbye to Indiana, trying to be the #1 guy in Oklahoma City, then fully accepting the #2 role in the Los Angeles Clippers uniform. Paul's career, it's been remarkable, but this is very, very obviously the decline. If as a second option where Kawhi Leonard is getting double teamed every single night, you can't knock down open shots like we did see him do in the stretch this season. That's why they were so great, because Paul was excelling in his role. He's just not doing that anymore. And this could very well be a slump, but I'm just going to kind of put my stamp on this one and say that it's Paul George declining. Paul George declining paired with James Harden, his efficiency has fallen off a cliff since that stretch where they were great. During that stretch, Harden and Zubac's chemistry looked amazing. Mason Plumlee was out, so we didn't see much of them together. But as a primary ball handler on certain possessions, James looked amazing. His assist numbers were up. His three-point shot was consistently falling. And with the fall off of that, this causes Kawhi Leonard much more pressure to just pull the entire team's weight. Kawhi's getting double teamed every single night in and night out, and it's honestly really tough to watch most nights when Kawhi's getting doubled and someone's open, someone you're paying $30 million a year is open, like Paul or James, and they're not hitting them. And it's interesting. I don't know if it's because we're in the dog days of the season, and for the most part, everyone has been very healthy. Paul's missed some times. James obviously missed. He was unavailable for the first 5 games after the season trade from the Sixers to the Clippers. But even like guys like Norman Powell, he has played a lot of time. Russell Westbrook has played a lot of time, barely missing any games. But that's just, it makes you wonder if Kawhi Leonard is having a possible burnout after the insanely efficient couple months he's had, and just receiving double team after double team after double team. You do start to wonder if this is burning out, and the burnout is very possible due to the fact that I believe this Los Angeles Clippers team, one of the biggest flaws with them outside of just pure gameplay, if you will, is the fact that I feel as if the Clippers have bad energy and no identity. I mean, when you think of the Denver Nuggets, you think of this amazing two-man game with Jokic and Jamal and great surrounding pieces, and then you think of the Thunder and you think a polished mid-range jumper from Shea, and then you think of the Suns, even someone who's worse than them, and they have identity in the fact that it's the KD and Booker show and this, that, and the other. And the ship's being steered by the captain of, you know, the Mike Malones, you know, but it's just interesting when you look at the Clippers, they have no identity. Even if you go back to that 2021 Clippers team, they had more identity than this team, and that could have something to do with age. It's interesting because I do believe that Ty Lue is a great head coach. I believe he's immensely talented. I think he's got good sets. His coaching style may be a little dated, some would say, but I just feel as if the Clippers are older and slower compared to the Dogs in the West. The Thunder their average age is 22 years old. The Wolves, very, very young team. The Pelicans, they are very young. These teams are able to, I mean, Anthony Edwards said the other night that he felt like he could go at anyone on the Clippers because they're so old. And that's just a very, very relevant topic of discussion when it comes to this team. But those 6 or 7 issues, you know, Paul George declining, Kawhi getting doubled every night and maybe burning out, Zubac, I didn't say this, I forgot to say this, Zubac's hands, they have not been great this season. It feels like every time they try to get anything in the low post, it's a turnover as soon as he puts the ball on the ground. James Harden, his efficiency has fallen off. There's bad energy, there's no identity. The Clippers are older and slower. All this being said, should you worry if you're a Clippers fan going into the postseason? I think you would have to check back at the very end of the season to see, because it's not a matter of life and death. I just think that during the height of the heights, it's so easy to say, oh, the Clippers, they've won, you know, 20 of their last, 25 or whatever. They're NBA favorites. But then during this low slump, it's easy to say, well, Paul's declining and James doesn't look that great and Kawhi is probably sick of this and they're getting old. Let's just say they're not contenders. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say the Clippers are still contenders. That doesn't mean they're favorites in every single series, but I do think they're still contenders despite this rough patch. They gotta, towards the end of the season, they gotta rest some guys, get some identity going. But what do you guys think? What do you make of this video? If you made it this far, appreciate your support as always. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Peace.